Hello, today we are going to be working on the suppling exercise with this little mare. She's a little 3-year-old Mr. Gunsmoke mare, one of our own. And so we just saddle her up, I'll jump on top of her, we'll get her flexing and bending, and then we will explain the suppling exercise in its entirety. So basically every time I crawl up on any of my critters, I want to be able to get them to the point where they can be soft and give. So for the first, 3 or 4, 5 minutes, whatever, I'm just going to flex and bend them to give. Now, right there, she did exactly what I didn't want her to do, is walked off. So she's a good participant for this exercise. So ideally, we should just have her stand in one spot and then not try to be evasive, walk off, have her own agenda. This is kind of like a pre-flight checklist. Anytime she goes to walk off, I'll just pick up, slide my hand down, pull to the front of the saddle, wait for all 4 feet to stop moving and her to soften. Now, ideally, I want her to just do simply that, just kind of wait for my next cue. Every horse I get on, I want them to wait for my next cue, not I swing a leg over and they go, hey, Mr. Zimmerman, look what I have in store for you. So, flexing and bending, get them to be nice and soft. And when I do my flexing exercise, I'm going to pick my rein up, or my reins up, however you want to do it. Pick my hand up with my reins in it, and then slide my free hand down, lean forward a little bit, and then pull to the front of the saddle to someplace stationary. So when I see my horse give between my hand and the bit, there is obvious slack. Like she's just kind of hanging on it right now. So just wait. We have all the time in the world to turn her into a professional flexor. And some of these horses, if they get to the point where they're just content with it, I'm going to add a little bit more pressure, but still go to a stationary spot. There, she truly gave. Give her face back. And so what this does is it teaches horses to, number one, be patient, so they're not trying to just run off as soon as you swing a leg over. Slide my hand down, pull to the front of the saddle, and there she gave soft right there. So this is just a great exercise for your own safety when you get on your horse and before you head off and go do anything fancy. And at any of these exercises and videos that we do, if you have any questions, you just feel free to reach out, ask away, and we'll give you the answers that pertain to your question. So ideally, this exercise that we're going to do, I call it the suppling exercise. I want to get my horse to the point where they have forward motion, and then they can also continue to be soft in the face. I've been on too many horses in the past that I go pick up a rein and they want to pull my shoulder out of socket, or they want to pick their head up in the air and pick cherries and peaches and all those sort of things, and it kind of puts them out of their athletic position. So ideally, now that she's kind of paying attention and content waiting and not trying to walk off on me, we're going to kind of ask her to move out and we'll kind of warm up. And we'll just let her kind of travel around before we go into the exercise. So I'm going to squeeze my legs and I'm just going to let her kind of go around and just kind of get used to packing me. I might trot her around for 3 or 4 minutes and then we'll just kind of get to the exercise. And whenever I'm warming them up, I just like to just let them kind of do whatever. Obviously, if they're going to do something and kind of be naughty and kind of want to speed up and hump up or do spook, bolt, or buck, like she thought about it right there, if she goes and breaks into a lope on her own, I'm just going to do a 1-rein stop. And I just want her to kind of casually relax while I'm up on her before we go to work. And the more that you can move around on any horse you're on, they get comfortable and confident with you up here, they can just learn to relax. The whole purpose of all of our horses is trying to get them to the point where they can have confidence doing these exercises and packing the riders, and then so that we can put anybody on them anytime, not have a horse that only somebody that is totally advanced can ride. So and this little mare, she's out of our little stallion. We have a Palomino paint Mr. Gunsmoke stallion, and he always produces really athletic, kind babies that are a lot of fun to ride. And so while we're warming her up, we can do a few 1-rein stops. Now she's starting to relax underneath, sort of slow her trot up a little bit. When I first got on and had her trot off, she kind of had enough energy. She felt like she was potentially going to break to a lope, but she didn't. But it was there. Her energy level was up, and she was kind of marching off like she had someplace to go in a hot minute. So. But as a general rule, I think every horse should be able to be ridden on a loose rein, walk, trot, lope, and be able to navigate and make good decisions on their own. When I go do clinics or I go places, I kind of have a snapshot of everybody that comes into the clinic on what they look like when they ride into the clinic. Are they short rein, really tight rein, or are they relaxed and loose rein? Like this mare has a little bit of drape in the rein. I see some people coming in, they're holding on like they're water skiing because they're not confident in their horse. So ideally this exercise that we were doing, warming our horses up, is just kind of cruising around and they can kind of maintain a certain speed, and then we'll work on some stops before we go into our suppling exercise. So we'll kind of test the water here this next time around. I'm just going to do a one rein stop. The 4 cues that I'm going to use, I'm going to say my verbal whoa, and then the second cue I'm going to pick up my rein hand. Third cue I'm going to slide my free hand down, and the fourth cue is pull to the front of the saddle and wait for all 4 feet to stop moving, and then soften. Needs to give to the bit. So we played around with this enough with this mare that hopefully she registers right there. She kind of caught a little bit excess energy from somewhere, so. But I'm not going to do anything unless she actually broke to a lope, made the mistake of committing. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whoa. Okay, so that tells me we've done our legwork enough to the point where whoa means whoa, no matter where we're at on God's green earth. She could stop, hit the skids, and then wait for my next cue. So every time I stop my horse that way, I'll go back and I'll just flex and bend them, 3 or 4 or 5 times. Right there, good. Nice and soft. Slide my hand down here, pull. Wait for her to soften. There's 2. We can go back the same side twice. Slide my hand down, pull. Wait. There, she's starting to soften, and she gave a couple kind of baby gives there. But I'm waiting for something a little better. Almost there. There we go. We'll go one more to the left, and then we'll go back and do this a little bit more, and then we will go into the suppling exercise. Wait, we can give there. She gave a slight baby give. So as a general rule, I always tell people get your rein adjustment just right where you pick up right to your sternum and you are barely picking up on the corner of the horse's mouth with the bit. And at that stage of the game, if you are very terrible with your split reins, you can take a piece of duct tape or electrical tape and then put it right there, and then you can set your hand down and then squeeze your legs to get your horse to the point where they can start moving forward. And your legs are your gas pedal. So if I wanted her to trot, I'm going to squeeze my legs, and then if she didn't move off with my legs, and then I'm going to kiss her clutch, and then if she still didn't move off, I'm going to have to pick up a rein and spank her. So those are the 3 cues to get her moving forward as we're warming up. And as she's going along nice and easy, I should just take my legs out, relax, and kind of ride freely. But I always tell people this exercise is a great exercise because it allows our horses to make good decisions, and if they don't, then we implement the one rein stop, which essentially is the emergency brake. So we can do it anytime, anywhere. So I always joke around, if something happened and I got stung by a bee and it paralyzed me up here, as long as I have a voice, hopefully I can stop my critter. So we should be able to stop our horse independently with just our voice, independently with just our hands, and then eventually independently with our seat. And so when we add all 3 of those together, that's when we get that real effective stop with a lot of enthusiasm. So we'll try it here. Whoa. There's a good example. She ignored me like she's part of the Idaho Deaf Society and just continued on like she didn't hear me. So at that point, then I pick up my rein hand, slide my free hand down, and then manually stop her with a one rein stop. Wait for her to give and soften and give. Almost nearly there. We can reward that. Okay. We'll go one more time doing that. Hopefully get a better stop, and then we'll go into the suppling exercise. Okay. Slide my hand down, pull to the front of the saddle, wait for all 4 feet to start moving, and then soften. Okay. So this exercise is key because I want my horse, anytime my horse feels bit pressure, to go down and in instead of up and out. Back in 2011, I was riding a horse, and basically I pulled on the rein, horse's head went up in the air, up and out, and then I learned the hard way. A horse flipped over backwards on top of me, and I ended up in the hospital. It took about 6 months to recover. So since that injury or accident, every time I get on these horses, they need to be thinking down and in every time I pick up on the rein. So 3, 2, whoa, pull. So she gave me one really good stop and then 2 marginal stops. And so, but that is an exercise that we could totally go back and kind of refine to the point where no matter when I say whoa, she stops. But for the sake of the video today, what we're going to do is we're going to start picking up on the suppling exercise, and so I'm going to get right into that. So what I'm going to do is kind of walk her in a circle. I'm going to pick up on my inside rein, my inside right rein. I'm going to pick up to my hip, and then I want to ask her to soften and give. If I see her chin come down and in, I'm going to release my hand forward, back to my knee. Pick up to my hip, back to my knee. If I pick up to my hip, and I meet resistance, she's pulling on me, then I'm going to use my inside right calf and then inside right spur. And then also I'm going to pick up on my outside rein and kind of trap her a little bit so that she can give vertically. And so she's over here fighting flies a little bit, so we could probably combat this with a little fly spray. But in the same token, I'll pick up, she should give. If she don't give, I'm going to use my inside leg, inside calf. Now, when she kind of stops and slows up into a walk, I'm going to use my outside leg for forward impulsion. So my inside leg is for softness, my outside leg is for forward impulsion. All I want her to do is go around in a nice, easy trot in like maybe a 10 or 15 foot circle. And when I get to my knee, she should maintain that circle and have her head and neck down and in, nice and soft, getting to the dip. Right there is good. Pick up again, calf, spur, and then if I feel her meeting resistance, I could also use my inside right leg to two-track and side pass her out like that, right there. Just pick up on that outside left rein slightly. Pick up again, inside rein, inside calf, inside spur, outside rein there. Pretty. Again, inside rein, inside. There we go. So this exercise teaches my horses to kind of have a chill mind, relax, and respect my hands and also respect my legs. And this is also part one of 3 exercises to teach my horse to kind of go into a spin and have an effective fluid spin, and also getting shoulder control. We want to get control of the head and neck. There she kind of wanted to just guide into my circle. So at that point I use my inside right leg to shove her back out to the left, to the outside. There we go. Pick up again. Inside rein, inside. As time goes on, she's going to quit being an oil rigger going up and down with her head, and she's going to keep her head and neck down in and be soft and give that way. So anytime her head and neck come up like she's trying to pick cherries and peaches out of a tree, that's when it's my job to pick up from my rein back up to my hip, and then put my inside calf in. Oh, now she slowed up there, so there's a good example of using both legs to maintain that forward impulsion. All I'm really looking for in this exercise is a nice, quiet, casual trot, head and neck in, slightly tip to the inside, and soften to the bit vertically with her head and neck down. There we go. Pick out and there. So it's inside rein, inside calf, inside spur, and maintain my outside rein like my arm is extended straight out like I'm giving somebody change. Once she gives in the soft and sensible, I release my hands and then I release my legs and let her just kind of go. So I release the pressure. I'm pressuring with my inside rein first, inside calf second, inside spur third, outside rein fourth. There. This is also a good exercise to work on your stops as well, because we already have her kind of captured with both reins. But as we're doing the suppling exercise, I could magically say the word whoa, pick up on my reins and go right into a back like this, squeeze my legs, back her up, back her up, back her up, lift with my legs, have a little impulsion. Now pick up my right rein, left leg, move her back out, and go back to a suppling exercise. So there's so many pieces of the puzzle that you can kind of get to throw in the middle of the mix and just kind of test the water, and it's going to help with my backup as well and my stop, because instead of her throwing her head up in the air, hollowing out, losing her performance side of things, I have her in her athletic stance the whole time. It's so different than if we're playing sports, whether it's football, basketball, baseball. When we're down in our stance, we're in our most athletic position. So, okay. We'll let her go a little bit, and then we'll pick up and we'll try the other direction. There we go. This is just a repetitious little exercise, and eventually they get the memo and they just keep their head and neck down Like there, she'll leave back down for 3 or 4 strides instead of just immediately, as soon as I release the pressure with the rein, come back up in the air. Like I said earlier, she's fighting a few flies here too, so that's an element of it where she's bringing her head up and kind of flipping her head trying to get away from a few flies. We'll fly spur next time we do an exercise. We'll let her sit and soak that in for 2 seconds, and then we'll go the other way for a bit, and we might call that a session. But I just want to get the gist of it. Everything I do is in a step-by-step exercise. So initially, like I said, I want her to go into just a nice little 8 to 10 foot circle, or maybe even a little bigger. And then I like to do a lot of my work at a trot, to kind of expend a little bit of energy and have them kind of, sweat a little bit and get that done. So pick her up to a trot, inside rein, inside leg, outside rein. There you go. Nice and easy. I'll move out into the middle of the pin so we can get into the screen. There you go. Out inside leg. Good. Pick up inside rein, inside calf, inside there. Whenever I see that chin go down, right to the point of the shoulder, right there I had to use, you want to flare out and kind of shoulder out on me a little bit. So I'm using my outside right leg to kind of block her from really going out too far. Inside rein. There you go. And it's like a hot potato. The quicker we give, the quicker she gets it. Just nice and easy, nice and in, just floating around. So right now, she almost went around the circle 3/4 of the way around, and then she started picking up her pace. What I'm also looking for in this exercise is just a nice fluidity where she's not trying to speed up or, find a way out or leak out to the outside by shouldering out. Because this is my geometry class that I told my high school geometry teacher that I would never use. Now I'm trying to draw pretty circles and maybe not ovals or parallelograms or all them other things that I can't even pronounce. So, but we just want to, if I had this freshly groomed, I want my little mare to come in here and perform the most beautiful circle. This way she's a little bit better. She's not as resistant fighting me. She has a tendency to kind of keep her head and neck a little more steady, and then have a nice cadence. There we go, pick up. There's always a method to my madness. Right there, she surged forward. What we're trying to do is just create a nice consistency, because I know when I go ride with other people, what scares them is when their horses either won't stop or speed up or do something that they don't ask. When we get on a horse and it does everything right, it stays super consistent. When we ask it to lope, it's a lope, nice slow lope, it stays there. It doesn't speed up trying to grab, 4th, 5th, and 6th gears, trying to act like Seabiscuit's long lost cousin. So that helps with rider confidence. So if we can get these horses to the point where they're super consistent and nice, to the point where anybody can ride them, then that's where they have a lot of value. But these exercises make them really focused. And this is a great exercise that kind of teaches timing and feel, because ideally we're picking up. When we feel her give, we give. So it's like I said, we'll just recap. Inside rein to my hip, inside calf, inside spur, outside rein there. So, and then as soon as that chin drops down to the point of the shoulder, we're going to release our hands and our legs right there. Okay. And we'll just kind of draw her into a stop here in a second. Oh, and then the back, squeeze my legs. Good. Okay. In a nutshell, that is a suppling exercise. All that good?